We have a lot of rhetoric in America about how important public education is to a democratic project, and we've certainly got a lot of beliefs about that. And that's largely what my book is sort of tracing that idea and that commitment across time. But as to this question of how it really matters or doesn't matter, I'm spending a lot of time looking overseas, right, at developing democracies or democracies that are failing, right? And I think when you look in the international context, that you really do see that education has been a central part of trying to transition countries to democracy, but it has also been an institution that autocrats capture, right? That for all the accusations of indoctrination in our public schools, right? You haven't seen anything, and I'm not going to name countries. I don't like to point fingers too much, but you haven't seen anything until you look at some of our international competitors in terms of what they are doing to control the education system or to indoctrinate people in their political way of life. And that's what scares me in this current book and this other work I'm doing is, I mean, we're talking a lot about vouchers and charters and this thing, but I get this sense over the last 3 years is that there's this autocratic turn in the way we run our schools. And that is extremely dangerous, not in terms of are we going to continue to build education, but is it actually a warning sign, a flashing red warning sign of America's turn towards illiberalism, right? And I think so. I think I'm not a fear monger. That's not the business that I get into. But I do think if you look at what has happened in other countries, and you look at what has happened in education, we talk a lot about the tax on the judiciary and what's going on in voting, and we think, oh, education, that's just something else. That's just little kids. No, that's actually part of the autocratic turn as well. And so, you know, I think people should be really disturbed. And so what I try to do both in my last book and this one is try to give people that broader lens through which to see the moment. You're the professional General Assembly member, so I'll leave it to you as to how you sort of convince people that that matters. But I think there's a lot to be worried about in terms of taking not only undermining public education as an institution, but removing it from the democratic project and making it a political tool. Because that's what we really see, right, happening in the last few years is that education. I've talked about it when it becomes only pork. Well, you know what? It has become it has for 200 years been notwithstanding racism, sexism, it still has been a bipartisan project. And what we see now is a moment in time when it is losing its appeal as a bipartisan project and is becoming a tool of political ends. And that's very, very dangerous.